Hello, friends. My name is Matt Murphy. I would like to congratulate Jay Harper for making the last time on open. That was pretty good.
Yeah, wow. I was taken aback by that.
Absolutely love that. That's big. That's a big deal. That's a high praise and honor.
I know. On National Radio Day, no less.
Oh, is it National Radio Day?
Yes, it is.
Oh, let's go around the room. Hold on, Jay. Let me say who I am and all that stuff, and I want to go around the room. My name is Matt Murphy. This is the Matt Murphy Show, conveniently enough, on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. The pleasantries are as follows. Today is Tuesday, August 20, 2024. It is Locks for Trump Day 171. My commitment to you, I will not cut my hair until we have a new president-elect of the United States of America on November 6th or whenever comes first. Whatever. It's episode 635 of our proceedings today. We'll get into the title and all of that in just a moment. Mr. Harper, what was your first job in radio?
Oh, gosh. Part-timer in high school, KAGY Radio, an AM daytimer, Port Sulphur, Louisiana, south of New Orleans. Yes, you can go south of New Orleans. Started February 1978.
Wow. Nice. Mr. Bell K, your first gig in the radio realm?
KDF when I was 18, WKDF.
You were with KDF from 18 until when?
Let's see, it was 9 years, so 27? 18 to 27.
Okay. I thought you were with KDF later on in life. Did you come back?
No.
Okay. What'd you do between 27 and now?
Record promotion.
Oh, man. See, I thought
Jay did record promotion, too.
Part of that I thought was with KDF.
So
I get very confused.
He was country and I did pop rock.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I was at MCA Nashville doing country radio.
Oh, man, that's big time. He was big timing you over there, Bell. Did you see that? Did you see him big time you there? With the MCA? That's pretty good.
Mine was the same company.
Mine was WTWA. Your favorite easy listening hits from the 40s to the 80s. 1240 on your AM dial, the Heart of Thompson.
Okay, so it wasn't Thompson?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Here's
and you were how old?
I was 15 years old when we were hired out there. Still had to do the test. I had to pay the $35 and take the test, but they didn't really grade the test.
You got the little yellow card.
Got the card. They put it in the transmitter room.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, everybody had their card. You had to, because what if the man came by and asked to see your license?
And you didn't have it, that could be a fine.
That would be a very serious. We also took meter readings back in the day. You guys take meter readings?
Oh, absolutely.
Every 3 hours, you got to take those meter readings.
And if the engineer showed up the next day, if you were working overnights or something and there wasn't any meter readings down there,
I'll tell you what,
he was not a happy person.
And on some Saturdays or Sundays, I'd work along like a 12-hour shift monitoring the automated station and all of that. And I'll never forget it. My meter readings, at about 11:30 on the clock of a 12-hour shift, here I go. I go to the phone and I just start filling out those meter readings, boy, from 9 a.m. that morning. Just altered.
So you were fighting the man even back then.
You just forget. But you don't want to get in trouble.
No, right. Man, fill them in.
Oh, because Mike Wall, our general manager and eventual owner of the radio station, if you missed it, man, he would take that meter sheet and he would put a Post-it note on it that said, and he would circle where your missing meter readings were, and his Post-it note would say, fix it. Because he's got to file it, so you've got to fix it. Oh, man, radio is great. I mean, it's great today, but it was great back then. We did I remember 15 years old, I thought I was at the zenith of my radio career when I was allowed to host the Swap Shop on Saturday morning.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Big deal. We took live telephone calls.
It's amazing the things that you consider benchmarks when you're young.
Let me tell you what. We took live telephone. I was in front of a board, an old RCA turnpot board.
Yep.
And I'm in front of the board. There's a cart machine over here, reel-to-reels everywhere, all that stuff going on, turntables, of course. And you've got the phone that is attached to the board. But the way that they heard you heard them through the board. But the way they heard a little light would bleep up on the board. Right. You would pick up the phone, and if you're watching on Super Talk TV, so you're holding the mouthpiece to the microphone, so that they hear you through the mouthpiece. You hear them through your headphones. That's how we did that.
Yeah,
that is just.
That's how we worked that.
Patting your head, rubbing your stomach.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's good stuff.
So was the transmitter on site?
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Same here. The first station anyway.
Yeah, both of our transmitters, the AM and the FM. So that was the AM side of things. That was a 1,000-watt AM radio station, and then the 3,000-watt was WTHO, your better country FM. It wasn't good country, but it was better.
It was better, yeah.
It was better. Oh, man, I absolutely loved every moment of
Used
that.
to be bad, but now it's better.
It's better.
A little better.
It's a horrible slogan. It's like Huddle House. I've never understood Huddle House's slogan. You know what Huddle House's slogan is? Best food yet.
Yes.
That's their slogan.
Might get better.
It used to really say it's not good. But it's the best yet.
Yeah.
I mean, anyway, National Radio Day.
Come back tomorrow.
That's pretty good. We used to back in the day. I mean, we could sit on the front porch, the three grandpas here, Bell, Jay, and myself, and tell you stories because obituaries were a big deal on WTWA.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely, the local bottom of the hour news where we had. Oh boy, they would go down to the courthouse and get actualities from people that had been arrested for like DUIs. I mean, the reporter at a 1,000-watt AM radio station in Thompson, Georgia, no P in Thompson, a 10,000-person community would go down to the local police station and get actualities from people that had been arrested over the weekend and were getting out of jail Monday. And then they would bring them in. Local man, Belkay, arrested over the weekend for drunk driving. He had this to say upon his release. I'm not kidding.
Get that camera out of my face.
I didn't do it. Oh, that's Belkay saying that he is innocent of the charges against him. More coming up when his arraignment. I mean, whatever. I mean, anyway. So we've got lots of goings on and lots of, we'll have actualities, kids. That's some of the audio that we play for you from time to time. That's what they used to call them on radio stations around the country. We'll have a few of those from the DNC last night. Believe it or not, I watched this crap so you don't have to, and we'll dissect it. I want to take a vote on the membersnutrition.com super text line. You want clips from this or not? I mean, I got them. I don't know that we need them. I got some Joe Biden for you. I have maybe a Hillary or two. I missed, just to show you that I'm living right. So, Belle, I know you saw none of this last night. Am I guessing correctly?
Oh, yeah, that was intentional. I just knew there was no way I was going to be able to tolerate it.
No, I get that, and I don't blame you. And were it not for this job, I would not be doing any of that either. But I feel strongly that my commitment to you is I watch this crap so you don't have to. And it was, and it is garbage, all of it.
I saw someone on Twitter today talk about how great the energy in the room at the DMC was compared to the lack of enthusiasm at the RNC.
What are you even talking about?
Exactly. I was just like, what lie do you expect me to believe? It's just, come on.
I was amazed, and you and I don't know if we did this on air, but I certainly know we did it off air. We reflected on how amazed we were that the major mainstream networks post-Republican National Convention were actually being honest about how well the Republican National Convention went.
Yeah, absolutely.
That it was widely considered to be the best managed, the best run. We had the dude on and gave him kudos and congratulations for what a wonderful event. This was the chairman of the RNC, whose name escapes me right now, but he was in Nashville post the event. So don't go telling me that the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee was anything but a roaring success. But they've got to one-up you, man, and they've got to lie to you until you believe it, and that's what they're doing.
Oh, and just as a reminder, that entire thing could have been in Nashville if it wasn't for the Nashville City Council.
Don't even start with me. It's true. Right here in our backyard. And I think, have they announced the 2028?
Not that I've seen.
I mean, I would think that we could still get 2028 going on. I would think.
You think Freddie'd be more inclined than Cooper was?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
I would believe that. I think Freddie is money motivated. Freddie's looking for a vote this November to get himself some money for quote-unquote transit, which is general work projects around the city. I think Freddie needs as much money as he can possibly get to keep balancing those books. And I think Freddie understands the amount of money that would come in with the RNC. And plus, the biggest thing about his decision-making for 2028 versus the other decision-making, no Trump. And that would be huge. Yes, Jay Harper back in the newsroom. What do you
Actually, Matt, Houston has already been awarded 2028 for the RNC.
That blows. I mean, the real news back there in the newsroom blows, and that's good news. I mean, I guess that's good news for Houston. It's bad news for us. I don't understand why that went so quick. Where I felt like we were just deciding like 2 years ago, and they've already figured it out. Well, you snooze, you lose, Nashville. Let's cross our fingers for 2032 when Bell will be well retired and Matt will probably be in the grave somewhere. All right, so I'm getting a lot of response from my suggestion that perhaps we don't play any clips from the DNC last night. We'll talk about it a little bit. There's a growing concern amongst the Democrats that they don't have the joy and enthusiasm that they want to have. It's a theme of their program, by the way. And so they're just lying to you until you believe it. Oh, the joy is in the room. I thought the room was dead. I thought a lot of the speeches landed with a thud. A particular highlight for me was this UAW president, Sean Fain. I mean, this multi-gajillionaire Sean Fain. I mean, he's not a gajillionaire, but he's a millionaire, and he's a millionaire on the backs of union workers that have suffered because of Democrats who want to put auto workers out of a job. Yet there he is, the head of the union, talking about how awesome unions are and how wonderful the UAW is and how awesome Democrats are for them. You know why? Because the unions and Democrats operate much in the same fashion. They shake people down for money until they have no other money, and then they move on somewhere else. We will discuss that aspect of the night's proceedings over the course of the show today.
The one thing that stuck out to me online when I was looking at social media was what I used to title today's episode.
Speaking of today's episode, you can find us on a number of places where we broadcast both audio and video. There's, of course, 99.7 FM. That's the radio dial from southern Kentucky to northern Alabama and all points in between. Then, of course, you have streaming service. Wherever you stream news or music or information or podcasts, you can stream this radio station. Type in SuperTalk 99.7 WTN and off you go. If you can't find us, let us know and we'll get there. We invite you to download our app. That's the best way to do it. You download the app in your app store, SuperTalk 99.7 WTN. Boom. There we are. Take us wherever you go all day long, every day long. Okay, and then, of course, there's SuperTalk TV. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, up and running and operating. We'd love to see you over on the YouTube television side of things or Facebook television side of things. That is up and running. Thank you to Bell K. He does not participate on the camera side, but he is kind of the director and executive producer of the whole thing, and he entitles the episodes. And today's episode 635 is entitled.
I saw this on Twitter, and it made me throw up in my mouth a little bit. Mm-hmm. Matt Murphy reminds you Joe Biden gave America his best. And that's the problem.
He said, yeah, this was my favorite from last night from Joe.
I made a lot of mistakes in my career.
That's it.
I made a lot of mistakes in my career.
So anybody telling you that Joe Biden was just a speech full of lies, remind them that he admitted that he made a lot of mistakes in his career. He also admitted, and I heard Hand playing this clip when I was coming in today, he also admitted that he and Kamala Harris, of course, they supported illegal immigration. You can call it a slip of the tongue. You can call it a Freudian slip, whatever you call it. I call it truthful out of the mouth of Joe Biden. You know, sometimes you get truth out of the mouth of babes, and you get truth out of the mouth of people who have dementia. And there you go. It was odd. I almost felt bad for Joe. And I know many of you didn't watch this garbage, and I don't blame you. We watch the garbage so you don't have to, whether it's #NeverCNN or ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, and this nonsense. The Democrat National Convention kicked off. Joe rambled after being made to wait for God knows how long. I don't know what time he was supposed to go on stage. I think originally it was supposed to be 10 o'clock Eastern time, 9 o'clock our time. It was 11. It was almost 11 o'clock Central Standard Time when this dude took the stage. Democrats can't keep time. Democrats are ego-driven, maniacal narcissists. So obviously the AOCs of the world and the Hillary Clintons of the world and the Sean Fains of the world and all of the rest of them that trotted out on stage, Jamie Raskin et al., they couldn't manage to keep themselves in their allotment of time, and so they're overrun. They tried to overpack us with B-list, C-list, backbench Democrats like AOC, who desperately wants to be important. She's not. She's not.
Are you saying that they ran a time deficit?
They ran a time deficit.
That is a shock.
It is a shock that they can't manage their budgets. They can't manage budgeting their time. Imagine that. They can't budget money. They can't budget time. Now, some folks would suggest that this was on purpose. I don't know. I know they kept Joe waiting. And wait he did. And he sat and he waited and he waited and he waited. And by the time he got on stage after having his nomination stolen from him, he was trotted out at the Democrat National Convention to say goodbye. As Van Jones put it in his follow-up on CNN, the old lion roared one more time. Just shut up. Joe Biden has been sucking off the American system since he was 29 years old. Joe Biden has never had a job. Stop elevating these people in this fashion. It's disgusting. We don't do that in America. I mean, there was one portion of his speech where he said, we don't bow to kings or dictators. Why are we bowing before public servants like this? I mean, I understand and I appreciate people that offer themselves to public service. And I offer that appreciation, particularly if it's in the manner of our founding fathers and the way that they did it. That you make your living, you do your job, you take care of your family and your community, you offer yourself to public service, you serve in that capacity for some period of time, and then you leave public service and go back to spend time with your family and your community. You don't make it a career opportunity. The Democrats realized that government service, those folks got it good, baby. And so they went all in. Republicans have done this too. They're not immune to this. We see Republicans making it a lifetime. $87.26 is correcting me on something, and it caught my eye. I said Central Standard Time. Am I supposed to, is that wrong, technically? Is it daylight because it's daylight saving time?
Correct. The daylight time will end in November.
Okay, so
we'll go back to standard.
I'm apologizing to 8726 and everyone else that got confused by my comment by saying Central Standard Time. Perhaps I confused people and made them. I guess that would be an hour late because if we rolled, spring forward, fall back. So if you think that we're still in standard time, you would think that it's 11:23 and not 12:23. My sincerest and humblest apologies to 8726 and everybody else that was confused by my error.
You bastard.
I apologize. Central time. We're just going to stick with Central time. We're going to leave the standard and the daylight out of it. We're just going to say CT. Okay? Okay. Very good. We'll continue to break down what Joe had to say. It was his big farewell address because, thank goodness he's not, doing anything important right now. I mean, that guy on stage last night, thank goodness he's not in charge of anything. Perish the thought, right? 1224, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hello, friends. My name is Matt Murphy, and I want to tell you a little about U.S. Pest. I was talking with JK just yesterday, as a matter of fact. We were discussing, amongst other things, pests. You know, those nagging things that that linger in the summertime months into the fall months. And boy, oh boy, it's about to be fall is spider season. I mean, that's just the way it is. Where you see a lot of spiders making a lot of webs and catching a lot of nonsense. And those spiders go somewhere when those webs aren't up. They go into your house. They go into your crawl spaces. They go into places where they can keep warm and safe and dry. Well, you want to keep them out of that, right? I mentioned to JK that I call pest comedy. It's true. I mean, JK's a great American. He and his wife, Erica, are good people, and they run a good company. But the bottom line is this. They are battling every single day. They battle communist in their regular life, and they battle communist in their life as owners of U.S. Pest, right? Because that's what pests are. They come in, they want to glom off your stuff, they want to eat your food, they want to live in your house. Well, let's prevent that with U.S. Pest. U.S. Pest offers comprehensive and complete 100% coverage over all things that are trying to get inside of your home. And the termite deal, let me tell you something, folks. If you don't have termite protection, you are risking your home. Termites will come and find that wood, and they will eat it. Let's prevent that. Let's correct it. 100% money-back guarantee in that regard as well. USPest.com for more information. USPest.com. Schedule a free inspection today. 590-1260. 590-1260 for my friends at US Pest. Folks, Matt Murphy here for the Glock Store. You know, we talk about the Glock Store a lot on this radio show and how well they do their job. I mean, and they do it great. I mean, from training exercises to having in stock everything that you could possibly imagine regarding Glocks and more. I mean, they've got other handguns outside of Glocks, but the Glock Store is, well, the Glock Store for a reason. Well, now I talked to you about the best place to learn, Glock Store, best place to shoot, Glock Store, best place to compete. We don't talk about these competitions as much as we probably should, but the USPSA and the low light, no light competitions are open every month, and you can compete in one. But what about this one? What about your next birthday, retirement, corporate gathering? If you're wondering if you have the ability to gather people together and to still utilize a room and to shoot, you do. You can have an instructor, a shooting room, a full kitchen, and a VIP room, all for you with shooting activities included in the party. That's right. Just go to party@glockstore.com. That's party@glockstore.com. Tell them the number of people, what time you're thinking about, what time of day you're thinking about. They'll get right back to you, and they will engage with you in a great party plan tailored to your event. It's the Glock store. It's my place to shoot. It can be your place to party. Minutes away from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere. Online, glockstore.com.
A new DHS report reveals the whereabouts of thousands of migrant children are a mystery. And a Tennessee correctional facility is under investigation. We'll have those stories for you here in just a bit on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Yeah, just moments from now, I want to keep on time today. Joe Biden has insisted for weeks that his leaving the race had nothing to do necessarily with his age or infirmity, but last night his age and infirmity was on stage for all to see. I find it fitting that not only has the Democrat National Convention against the wishes of more than 1,500 or more than 14 million people, they pushed him out of the race, and then they pushed him out of prime time last night. There were a lot of excuses as to why Joe Biden's speech got pushed over an hour. He was originally scheduled to speak at an already late 10:30 Eastern time. That would be 9:30 Middle Tennessee time. Started his speech about an hour late. It finished after midnight on the East Coast, after 11 o'clock our time. Many folks tap it out, saying, I can't do it. Boy, I wish I had tapped out, but we would have missed so many gems, so many lies. He slung the hits. And why wouldn't he? He lied about Charlottesville. He lied about the suckers and losers line. Will the media fact check him? I don't blame sharks for being sharks. I blame the mainstream media that have a duty. If you're going to hold others to this account, you have to hold the Democrats to this account, yet they don't. But we're here to point that out. It's 31 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Time for news.
Good afternoon. It is 12:31. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. It's sunny. It's 79 degrees. A weather forecast coming up in a couple of minutes. A new report on the border crisis. The Department of Homeland Security's Inspector General releasing an interim report that shows that more than 32,000 unaccompanied immigrant children who have crossed in the U.S. have not shown up at immigration court hearings, and the government has no clue where they are. The report says ICE, has been unable to keep track because there's no way to monitor their location and status once they leave government custody. Back here in Tennessee today, the Department of Justice announcing a civil rights investigation into conditions at Trousdale Turner Correctional Center, which is run by Core Civic. It's the largest correctional facility in Tennessee. The DOJ says their department has found significant justification to open the investigation, including state audits detailing understaffing and safety concerns that have allegedly gone on for years. Leaders say the investigation will dig deeper into whether Tennessee protects the inmates from harm, including violence and sexual abuse. That is the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy, and if you're not sleeping well, it could be sleep apnea. And you're thinking, well, Murphy, I don't snore that much, or at least my spouse tells me I don't snore that much. Well, snoring could not be a symptom, and let me tell you how I know, because I did not snore that much. I mean, occasionally we all let out a snort or two. However, I was not a regular snorer, and I was not sleeping well. Dr. Paz suggested that I might be one of the many people around the state of Tennessee and around the country that don't snore but do experience sleep loss due to sleep apnea. And it was a fact. And now I have an incredible FDA-approved oral device that gently supports my jaw, that keeps my airways open, that makes it easier to breathe and easier to get a good night's sleep. This is an FDA-approved device, and friends, I could not have worn a CPAP machine, and I know that. I couldn't have dealt with the hose and the mask. Well, you don't have to worry about any of those things. And now, as Dr. Stephen Poss and the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center continue to grow, Dr. Brian McLaughlin comes on board with the same exceptional credentials and experience as Dr. Poss. They're serving Middle Tennessee even better in Brentwood and in Murfreesboro. They accept BCBS, Aetna, Cigna, United Healthcare, and Medicare. They are a preferred provider with TRICARE for the military. Let's get this done, friends. Let's get an examination happening today. The Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center can be found at drposs.com. That's drposs.com. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is 12:38. We'll continue dissecting the DNC from last night as best we can. Don't forget, coming up at 2 o'clock today, we have had the opportunity to speak with Victoria Jackson on a couple of occasions since I've been in Nashville, Tennessee. She is a longtime resident of Franklin, or just outside of Franklin, I think. Of course, most of you know her from her days on Saturday Night Live. She's got many different movies that she's made appearances in, etc. Known comedian and actress. And she recently announced that she has had cancer in the past, and she's recently announced that she has been, her cancer has returned, and that it is inoperable, so she's medicating. She'll tell us all about that in the 2 o'clock hour as she joins us in studio. Victoria Jackson coming up just after 2 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. By the way, are you familiar with the term lawyer letter, Bill?
No.
A lawyer letter is a letter that you send from an attorney, from letterhead from an attorney, that is in response to some situation or issue. I mean,
like a cease and desist?
Well, it's, you can stop a lot of nonsense by sending out a good lawyer letter. And sometimes, in order to get the attention of a bigger company or to get the attention of some bully, you have to send a lawyer letter in order to get their attention.
Okay.
One of the better examples, I'm very distracted here, but this is pretty funny. I think you'll enjoy this. One of the better examples of a good lawyer letter happened in the 1970s, where there was a new attorney general that had been elected in 1976 in the state of Alabama by the name of Bill Baxley. And Bill Baxley had been known as a prosecutor for going after members of the Ku Klux Klan. And the Klan, and I won't bore you with the Klan's letter, but the Klan wrote him this long, detailed letter demanding this and demanding that and demanding the other thing and demanding this thing. And Bill Baxley had subsequently to his election, or just after his election as Attorney General, he announced that he was reopening the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing case, which had, up until that time, from 1963 to 1976, gone unsolved. As a result, ultimately he found the ringleader and he prosecuted successfully the ringleader of the bombing, and he was sent in jail. A guy by the name of Robert Chambliss, and then eventually Bobby Cherry, I think his name was found guilty later on. Anyway, so the Klan sent him a threatening letter telling him everything they were going to do and demanding a response to Bill Baxley. You know what Bill Baxley's response was? It's one of the more famous lawyer letters in history.
Pound sand?
Well, it's better than that. He wrote on official state of Alabama Attorney General letterhead the following: Dear Mr. Fields, my response to your letter of February 19, 1976 is, kiss my ass. Sincerely, Bill Baxley, Attorney General.
That was an official letter?
Yeah, in 1976. So
well, you don't have to wonder if he had disdain for him or not,
So he didn't even make it public. The Klan made it public to try to embarrass him. So
that
he sent it back to them, and they're like, "Oh my God, look at this! This guy used the A word." He's like, whatever. I have a potential better one that I just saw in my feed. And this has nothing to do with the news. It's just funny. And I think we need a little bit of this in our life. So pardon me, indulge me for just a second. We'll get back to the news of the day in a second, okay? So some attorney wrote the Cleveland Browns. And I'm going to read you the letter that they wrote, and then I'm going to read you the letter in response from the Cleveland Browns. This is on official letterhead from Pretzel and Andrus, counselors at law in Akron, Ohio. And there's all these names and all this letterhead and all of that. And it is dated November 18, 1974. And it reads as follows: To the Cleveland Browns, Cleveland Stadium, Cleveland, Ohio. Gentlemen, I am one of your season ticket holders who attends or tries to attend every game. It appears that one of the pastimes of several fans has become the sailing of paper airplanes generally made out of the game program. As you know, there is a risk of serious eye injury and perhaps ear injury as the result of such paper airplanes. I'm sure that this has been called to your attention and that several of your ushers and policemen witnessed the same. Please be advised that since you are in a position to control or terminate such action on the part of fans, I will hold you responsible for any injury sustained by any person in my party attending one of your sporting events. It is hoped that this disrespectful and possibly dangerous activity will be terminated. Yours truly, Rotzel and Andrus, Dale O. Cox, Esquire. You want to know what they said?
I know you're adding the emphasis, but it's just...
That's what I just read what was on them.
Playing it back in my head just because he's such a funny visual.
the Cleveland Browns responded, and they wrote him back. Letter dated November 21st, 1974, to Dale O'Cox, Esquire of Rotzel and Andrus, 20th floor, 1 Cascade Plaza, Akron, Ohio. I have to edit this just a little, but you'll know when the edit happens, and when the edit happens, they actually say the word, okay? Dear Mr. Cox, attached is a letter that we received November 19, 1974. We feel you should be aware that some a-hole is signing your name to stupid letters. Yours very truly, Cleveland Stadium.
It's just genius.
I don't care if it's 50 years old. It's funny. This happened 50 years ago. That's so good.
It's just awesome.
You should be aware that and they say some a-hole is signing your name to stupid letters.
It just makes you wonder, did that go all the way up to the general manager of the team, or did somebody in legal just authorize it?
James N. Bailey, general counsel, wrote this letter back to him, and he CC'd Arthur Modell, the owner of the Cleveland Browns.
That's awesome.
Absolutely, it went over all the way to the ownership. Anyway, you got to laugh a little bit to keep from crying. Crying was the emotion of the moment last night at the DNC. There were a lot of tears for the departing Joe Biden. Originally scheduled to speak at about 10:30 Eastern time, did not get in there until about 11:30 Eastern time. A lot of folks tapped out. The Democrats booted Joe Biden to the curb and out of the presidential race. Why wouldn't they boot him out of prime time? Many are speculating that this was potentially on purpose. I would share that speculation. I don't think they minded one bit, because only one of two things could have happened. One, Joe Biden demonstrates that he actually does have a certain level of awareness and potentially outshines Kamala Harris, potentially outshines the newly appointed and anointed presidential candidate. Or he makes an ass of himself like normal, and they don't want to show that on prime time either. Well, it was a little bit more of the former as opposed to the latter. I always get that confused. Or maybe it was the latter as opposed to the former. One way or the other, Joe Biden didn't do that great. He struggled with the teleprompter as usual. He made little sense. He did not seem to understand the words that were coming out of his mouth. And the only time that he was animated is when it seemed that he was told to be animated based on the nature of the speech. In other words, it was a stump speech that he added a few other extra things into. It almost seemed like it was the speech that was being prepared and written for him to go against Donald Trump as the presidential candidate, and they seemed to alter it in some way in an effort to, not make him have to relearn an entire speech. But at the same time, offer one that would elevate Kamala Harris to the position of power that she desires. For a moment, I was going to feel bad for Joe Biden. For a moment. Because if you think about it in a certain way, he did have the nomination stolen from him. Unbeknownst to him. They swiped it from him. And he is now being trotted out on stage, and he has to perform like the good little Democrat monkey that he is. And for a moment, I started feeling bad for him. It's true. But then I remember that Joe Biden is a succubus and that he has earned millions and millions and millions of dollars in his quote-unquote official capacity as a United States Senator, Vice President of the United States, and now President of the United States of America. But then I also remembered, as has been well documented on the part of Republicans and as came out yesterday in a 291-page impeachment report, I didn't have to do a lot of reading this morning. Last night, feeling a little bit bad for Joe. I mean, the old guy that doesn't really know where he is anymore. And yeah, he did some bad things in his life, but it's not like he's Ted Kennedy and he killed somebody. I mean, he sniffed some hair, showered with his daughter, but whatever. But if you read any of this report, you realize that Joe Biden has not only been a liar his entire public life, has not only stolen from people his entire public life in terms of plagiarizing from them, stealing their ideas, stealing their money. He gives off or tries to give off this persona as Lunch Bucket Joe or Lunch Pail Joe, and he is none of those things. He has been the architect of one of the longest-running grifting operations in American history. And none of us, not one of us, should feel bad for this dude. Not one of us. Republicans have been investigating Joe Biden and his cabal for the better part of 2 years. They have subpoenaed witnesses. They've gone through the documents. And it has now become clear, according to Oversight Chairman James Comer, this guy's been involved in a money grifting and grafting operation that has led to ultimately about $27 million coming into the family Biden. The 291-page report, a joint product of the Oversight Committee as well as the Judiciary and Ways and Means Committees, its conclusion: Joe Biden engaged in impeachable conduct, first by participation in his family's efforts to monetize his office while vice president, then by obstruction of Congress as president of the United States. The final pages of the report reads, as both president and vice president, Joe Biden has abused his office of public trust, putting his family's financial interests above the interest of the American people. Although the committee's fact-finding is ongoing and Biden's obstruction, the evidence uncovered in the impeachment inquiry to date already amounts to impeachable conduct. And just like Democrats like to do, they sneak, they slink, they obfuscate, they refuse to comply, they deny until such time as they slink away into the darkness. Hello, Hillary and Bill Clinton. And nobody asks any questions after that. What the hell happened to the Clinton Foundation, by the way? Anybody at all? Miraculously, they closed the Clinton Foundation down after Bill and Hillary Clinton became less useful to the individuals that were utilizing that operation. More coming up in a moment. 12. Don't feel bad for Joe Biden. Don't feel bad for his family. They've made millions of dollars, and not one of them has apologized to the American people. Not one. By the way, that Ukraine crap absolutely happened. Burisma absolutely happened. Just as we told you it happened, and the media continues to ignore it. 52 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. If you are suffering with pain, there are really limited options for you as to how to alleviate that pain. Well, let's talk about some of the options, right? You can go the surgical route. Now, that should always be a last resort. I think most of us can agree on that. You can suffer silently with the pain that you have and just accept or feel like there's nothing else that you can do. But I don't think that's an option for you. What are the middle ground options? Well, you can take pills. And if you've been taking pills and you're tired of feeling groggy or you're tired of depending on the medication, you can do a blocker, I suppose, needles and whatnot. But I prefer a more natural route. I prefer spinal decompression, red light therapy, Class 5 laser system, all provided by the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief. Friends, you can have an examination, an x-ray, a complete review of findings, and they'll offer you your first treatment in your initial consultation, which remains less than $50, $49 for that complete comprehensive examination of you on your initial visit. Plus, they're going to schedule future visits to get you right as rain and to keep you pain-free wherever it hurts. Whether it's your back, your neck, your knee, your hip, your elbow, all can be treated with no needles and no downtime. It's the Dr. Gill Center's comprehensive team approach with Dr. Wendy, Dr. V, Dr. Dominic, and the rest of the crew at their Chiropractic Care Center in Franklin. Give them a call today at 615-882-4838, 882-4838 for the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief.
Good afternoon. It is 1 p.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We've got a lot of sunshine, low humidity, 79 degrees. Your weather forecast coming up in a couple of minutes. Chicago police, they're prepping once again for another night of protests related to the Democratic National Convention. ABC's Jim Ryan has new details that have emerged about Monday's demonstration.
As many as 3,500 protesters, mainly pro-Palestinian demonstrators, took part in a rally and march near the United Center. A small group splintered off and breached a perimeter fence surrounding the venue. Police arrived and pepper spray was used, but Chicago Police Superintendent Larry Snelling insists
protesters use it against our officers.
Snelling says 13 people were arrested on charges ranging from criminal trespass to aggravated battery of police officers.
At tonight's DNC events, it's Obama night. Both Barack and Michelle due to speak. Karen Travers has the latest.
In his address to the DNC tonight, former President Barack Obama will make his case for why Vice President Harris and Governor Tim Walz are the leaders the country needs right now. A source familiar with his remarks says he'll lay out the task ahead for Democrats over the next 11 weeks until Election Day and focus on the values at stake in the election and at the heart of this nation's politics. The former president met Harris 20 years ago on the campaign trail when he was running for Senate in Illinois. She was later an early supporter of his presidential campaign and knocked on doors for him ahead of the Iowa caucuses in 2008.
Back here in Nashville, 2 women under arrest are accused of together teaming up to steal more than $11,000 in merchandise from a Bath and Body Works store in Madison. News 2 reports that according to an arrest warrant, 29-year-old LaTanya Elliott and Sheba Drake, 30, stole items on multiple occasions from the store on Gallatin Pike North between January and May of this year. Police reported the 2 would enter the store, just grab the stuff, and take off without paying. That is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Back to school again, baby. The temperatures are cooling off just a little bit. You just heard the forecast there with lows getting into the 50s tonight. That's nice. A back-to-school offer is being presented by USS, United Structural Systems, and I'm proud to tell you all about it. 10% off any job over $2,500. That's an incredible value, especially for those of you perhaps that have been putting off the bigger job that you know is coming with your home. This thing's not going to take care of itself, folks. If you have issues involving your foundation of your home, if you've noticed the telltale signs, and you know what they are, we talk about them all the time. Cracks in your bricks, cracks in the mortar spaces, that stair step cracking that you see from time to time in your basement or your crawl space. If you've not been down there, do you smell something that's musty or moldy smelling? That could be a waterproofing issue as well. If any of those things are the case, you need to get USS on the job, friends. They'll come out, they'll give you a complete examination, they'll give you a full report, and if it's time to get the job done, 10% off any job over $2,500. And now, obviously, this cannot be combined with other coupons or previously discounted quotes. It's too big of a deal. They have same as cash options available for you, however, like no payment, no interest for 1 year. Free inspection, call today, foundation repair, waterproofing, crawl space repair, mold treatment, all happening at USS, United Structural Systems, 488-7855. That's 615-488-7855 or USSTN.com. That's USSTN.com. Hour number 2 happening right now. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Matt Murphy. It's 106. Good afternoon. Welcome in. 106 Central Time. Now, some might suggest that was an error of mine in the first hour. There was one more egregious error that we made in the opening hour of the show. If you miss a moment of the show, you miss a lot. The show starts at noon. We appreciate all of you that can be here for the entire duration, full 3 hours, or many of you just stop by for 5 or 10 minutes. Whatever amount of time you're able to give us, we're certainly appreciative of it. 9414 says, Murphy, I love your show. You do talk fast for a Southern boy, though. I've been listening to your 3 hours since you came up here. Your wording of topics is exceptional. Keep it up, my friend Ronald. Well, you're very kind, Ronald. I do talk fast. I get excited. Sometimes I trip over my words, and sometimes I use the wrong words.
So you're trying to get 4 hours in 3.
I know. I got to squeeze it. So last hour, I referred to Joe Biden as a succubus.
That would be a female, correct?
That would be a female.
But
I don't.
There you go, Victoria.
I don't. But I would say this, that the definition of a succubus is a female demon that comes in the dead of night and has sex with you while you're sleeping. And I still think that fits Joe Biden.
Sounds like a lot of girlfriends I had, too.
That's what she said. I don't know what that means. Well, I still don't know what it means. In the meantime, we had last night Joe Biden appearing, a fiery delivery, a forceful speech happening in the dead of night. He delivered those remarks well past 11 o'clock our time in Middle Tennessee. They pushed him back. I almost felt bad for him. And then I started seeing some of the dastardly shenanigans as detailed by the 291-page report by the Republicans that is getting widely ignored by the mainstream media. They ignore by the mainstream media because they consider the Biden issue to be put to bed. It's something that they don't have to deal with anymore. They never wanted to deal with it to begin with. They never wanted to discuss the fact that Joe Biden was compromised as vice president of the United States when he publicly announced that he was going to force Burisma to fire a prosecutor or withhold money. Well, little did we know he was doing that to benefit his son. He wasn't doing that to benefit the United States of America as much as he wanted to brag about it. And yes, Biden would be an incubus as opposed to a succubus. An incubus would be a male demon that steals your soul in the dead of night and has sex with you. Well, he's certainly screwed America. That much is, just look around. But it occurs to me because I received a text from a loyal listener, longtime listener of the show, that says, what is this Joe Biden showering with his daughter's story? I hear about it, but I've not read about it. How old was she at the time? So this story goes back to, for those who don't know, it was 2020, I believe. Ashley Biden had been living at a friend's house in Delray Beach, Florida in 2020. She moved out of that home and left a number of her personal belongings behind when she moved out in June of that year. The owner of the home allowed her to keep the items at the house, unbeknownst to the individual that moved in after her. According to federal prosecutors, a woman moved into the room when Biden left, discovered the items in a closet there that she had left, and after reading about some of these items, this woman was named Amy Harris, Aimee, Harris. She looked through a number of these items and recognized that one of the items was a personal diary of Ashley Biden's. She then subsequently decided to sell that property that she considered to be abandoned. And it makes sense that she would consider that. She's renting the space, and that property was left in the space. She decided to sell it. She initially attempted to sell it to the Trump team. And this portion of the story never gets reported by the mainstream media, but Team Trump declined on it. They wanted to sell the materials to the Trump campaign, and in 2020, the Trump campaign declined. Ultimately, they decided for $40,000 to sell the material to Project Veritas, which was then run by James O'Keefe. He has since left the organization, and he has started his own media watchdog group called OMG. Ultimately, Amy Harris was prosecuted by federal prosecutors for theft of property and conspiracy. And Harris and her co-conspirator, a man by the name of Robert Kurlander, eventually pleaded guilty in August of 2022 to a conspiracy charge, admitting that they had received $20,000 each paid by Project Veritas for the sale of the diary. Now, that's all well and good, and we can try to figure out. I mean, look, I have my own opinions. If you leave property behind, and I mean, after the fact, it was determined by Ashley Biden that she had forgotten this diary, and she decided it seemed too many involved in the case, and I'm not intimately involved enough to be able to tell you one way or the other. But Ashley Biden claimed after the fact that she had intended to retrieve the property and that she had an agreement with the property owner, and that would be the homeowner. Harris, Kurlander, and others say that that never happened, that she just left the items behind as throwaway items, and ultimately it was discovered that they had some value, $40,000 to be precise. Well, what does this mean for Joe Biden, Ashley Biden, and others? When you hear about Joe Biden showering with his daughter, it's because his daughter said that he did so. In one of the pages in the diary, it was, and I'm just reading directly from the diary here, it said, I was hypersexualized at a young age. What is this to do? Was I molested? I think so. I really remember specifics, but do not remember trauma. I remember not liking the Woolsacks house. I remember somewhat being sexualized with Caroline. I remember having sex with friends at a young age, showers with my dad, which were probably not appropriate. So it's one page of her diary that many have focused on, and no one seems to be willing to ask the question that is obvious. At what age did you have showers with your father? If you had an ability to remember those showers with your father, I would suggest that maybe you were too old to have showers with your father. And so if you hear any reference to that, then that's what that's in reference to. Now, I'm not here to suggest that I have any idea what's going on. Ashley Biden apparently has a fine relationship with her father at this point in her life. We can make of that. I mean, make of that what you will. It is, as they say, what it is. One way or the other, Joe Biden had his nomination stolen from him, and he made the point last night on national television to say that he was just fine with all of that, offering himself up for volunteer public service in the aftermath of his presidency. Boy, it's a good thing that Joe Biden's not president anymore, isn't it? Oh, wait, he still is. Fact check. During his speech last night, Joe Biden took credit for creating thousands of jobs. He actually took credit for installing IBEW jobs, 500,000 charging stations all across America. The IBEW made that installation happen. Fact check, as of this morning, only 8 of those charging stations have actually been built in 2.5 years. He claimed 500,000. He was only off by 499,992 of the charging stations. In the meantime, Andy Beshears, our neighbor to the north in Kentucky, is making waves. The Democrat governor offered a speech last night that just hit with a thud. I mean, there wasn't a lot there. He's the moderate in the room after all. But this morning he was making waves for this comment. Andy Beshears very upset with J.D. Vance, very upset with the Republican stance on the issue of abortion. Had a few things to say about it. J.D. Vance has had a few things to say with regard to the issue of rape and incest and whether or not those should be protections under the law. Here's what Andy Beshears said this morning to MSNBC with regard to J.D. Vance. Listen toward the end here.
Of Roe, which should be pretty inspiring come Election Day. And then on the right, Governor, you have Republican candidates and Republicans talking about babies being aborted at 9 months. Can you even make sense of their argument? Because half of it's not even true.
Okay, I just want to clean up her setup of this. That is Mika of MSNBC, whatever her last name is, Brzezinski, I guess it is. So, yes, Democrats want to give women the ability, the legal ability to terminate pregnancy up until the point of birth. They like to harp on the idea that this doesn't happen very often. The idea that it happens at all should be an abomination, and it should disgust any reasonable human being. My stand on this has always been very clear. I can have reasonable conversations with people who disagree regarding when life begins. I understand that we have different faiths, I guess it is, that perhaps lead us in this regard, and that some people are more faithful than others. And the law applies to all faithful and non-faithful equally, meaning that you have to make some of these determinations based on a scientific diagnosis of when life is present, separate and distinct from the life of the mother. Now, I'm not here to get into a big abortion debate, but just to say that I can have a reasonable discussion with someone that believes in first trimester abortions. I can disagree with them. I can sit down with them. I can have these conversations. I can talk to them about erring on the side of caution. I can talk to them about opportunities that the individual woman had to prevent pregnancy, whether it be to abstain from sex, to prevent pregnancy through any manner of contraception, to perhaps utilize the morning after pill as a result of sexual activity and the dangers or the the possibility of a pregnancy. All of those things are on the table for discussion, and I don't have a problem discussing these things. I can't talk to a liberal about third trimester abortions. The woman in this case has had so many opportunities to take care of whatever quote-unquote situation she finds herself in without destroying another life. But liberals want to have none of it. And they refuse to accept that, yes, third trimester abortions happen, and yes, some of those third trimester abortions are on-demand abortions, non-medically necessary abortions. Mika Brzezinski conveniently overlooks all of that when asking Governor Andy Beshears, who is obviously an expert in this subject, being, a male, but he is a Democrat from Kentucky. Let's hear what he has to say.
It's just fear tactics, and it's just lying to people. I mean, think about what some people have had to go through because of these laws. J.D. Vance calls pregnancy resulting from rape inconvenient. Like, inconvenience is traffic. I mean, it is, make him go through this. I mean, it is someone being violated.
You hear what he just said there? They say the quiet part out loud now.
Traffic. I mean, it is. Make him go through this.
Make him go through this. So they're talking about pregnancy as the result of rape. And the fact that J.D. Vance apparently, according to them, and I've not fact-checked it, so I don't know that I trust them, but apparently at some point in a contextualized conversation about this, used the word inconvenient to describe rape that results in a pregnancy. And you can argue whether or not that word has been inappropriately lifted, and if put in its own context, perhaps we can argue whether it was appropriately used. Regardless of that, Andy Bashir's slipped in there that he let's see him go through this. So you're dismissively suggesting that Vance family members should be impregnated through rape in an attempt to change his stance on abortion and his belief that life begins at conception? You can disagree with that belief, but to suggest that he ought to have a family member raped as a result of that belief, it's a little bit beyond the pale, don't you think?
Vance calls pregnancy resulting from rape inconvenient. Like, inconvenience is traffic. I mean, it is. Make him go through this. I mean, it is.
Make him go through this. It's disgusting.
Someone being violated, someone being harmed, and then telling them that they don't have options after that fails any test of decency, of humanity. But here's the thing. It also shows they don't have any empathy at all. And a president and a vice president has to have empathy.
I, of course, believe that a president and a vice president needs to have empathy. I would empathize with so many of those children in the 7th or 8th month of pregnancy that have been killed, and they seemingly want to ignore those individuals. So I just wish that the conversation could be had on balance as opposed to the imbalanced manner in which the mainstream media conducts this conversation. I understand it's the most difficult of political conversations to have because it involves public policy that applies to all and very intimate and very heartfelt and emotional faith-based belief on a lot of this. 615-737-9986. We'll get a few of your calls regarding it. We'll continue to break down what happened at the DNC. I do not have... It was Belkay's job to monitor dumpster fires.
You got to be able to put yourself in a position that you...
Oh, sorry about that. It was Belkay's job to monitor dumpster fires. And I don't think we have an update on dumpster fires for last night. It was during the entirety of the DNC, we set the over-under at 3.5 dumpster fires. Actual dumpster fires. There were protests.
Yeah, but there were no dumpsters set on fire.
But the problem is, do we really know that or not? And here's why I would say that, is that you can't find any of the protests are going on in Chicago, and they're getting rather rowdy in Chicago, but nobody will cover the protest. I mean, maybe a little bit on Fox News or News Nation, but for the most part, nothing. Maybe something on Newsmax, ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC. They're not showing us any of those protests because they don't want you to believe that it happens. If they don't show it, it didn't happen. So I don't know.
So how are we going to enforce this bet?
We're just going to have to do some sleuthing and break it down night by night and rely on accurate information and sourcing that we come up with. I'm going to do my best to try to get an accurate number on the number of actual dumpster fires, which was set, by the way, once again, at 3.5 dumpster fires. Dumpster fires that do not have to do anything with the actual goings-on at the DNC. We just set dumpster fires in the city of Chicago during the event. So they don't have to be interrelated. In other words, we're not setting, Harris Walls signs on fire and throwing them in the dumpster. You don't have to have a, Hamas today, Hamas tomorrow, Hamas forever sign on fire. It could be about anything. It might just be Chicago people keeping warm. Who knows? 24 after the hour on Super Talk. All right, friends, let's talk about your hair. You see mine. If you're watching on Super Talk TV, you see that it's getting rather long. My commitment locks for Trump Day 171. Well, my hair is long for another reason, too, and that is I have hair. I continue to grow hair. I'm so thankful of that. and I have checked myself out with We Grow Hair and the PAI medical folks. As a matter of fact, I had an appointment there months ago now. And the great team at We Grow Hair gave me my examination and said, you know what, you're looking pretty good for a 50-year-old, but we do see some thinning around the crown that we need to address just to make sure that you don't have any worries down the road. And so I began my FDA-approved laser treatments to make my hair thicker and fuller and to prevent further hair loss. Let me tell you, this is so easy. Now, when you think laser treatments, you're thinking, it's searing my... No. You go into a room, you have a little, it's like an old school hair dryer that you used to see in beauty salons. You put that on your head and it just kind of glows red there. And that's your treatment. You sit there for 30 minutes, you play around on your phone, you do your thing, and after 30 minutes, your treatment is done. That's my experience with We Grow Hair and PAI Medical. Now, whether you're just beginning to lose your hair or you've been losing for a while, maybe you are completely gone. Don't worry. They have a solution for you at We Grow Hair. They have multiple different solutions, and they'll find the one that's right for you. Results are guaranteed. Go to WeGrowHair.com. That's WeGrowHair.com or 615-376-6010. 376-6010 for We Grow Hair.
Well, tonight it's the Obama's turn at the DNC, and a Tennessee correctional facility is under investigation. We'll have those stories at 1:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you much, Mr. Jay Harper. We'll get to those news headlines coming up in just a moment. By the way, a headline you may not hear in the newscast of Jay Harper, but I have taken notice. My hometown, my real hometown, not my adopted hometown of Mount Juliet, not the first hometown that I lived in Goodlettsville, in the Grand Old RV Resort, Convalescence Home and Bat Meat Market. But my actual hometown of Thompson, Georgia, Thomson, no P in Thompson. The mayor of Thompson, which is a very small town. It's like 8,000 people now. It was about 10,000 when I was there. They've lost population. The mayor of Thompson faces felony charges alleging that he illegally stashed a bottle of gin in a ditch for a state prison work crew to access. I went to school with Benji Cranford. Now, I guess Benji was held back because it says Benji's 52 and I'm only 50, and I know that I was a year behind all my classmates because my birthday is September 1st. By the way, birthday coming up, 10 days away from Matt Murphy's birthday. Send your cards and letters in, care of this radio station, 10 Music Circle East, Nashville, Tennessee, 37203. Thompson Mayor Benji Cranford was indicted and arrested by the Georgia Bureau of Investigation on felony charges of furnishing prohibited items to inmates and an attempt to commit a felony. The indictment issued by McDuffie County Superior Court accuses Cranford of driving to a store June 3rd, purchasing a bottle of, see, he didn't get the cheap stuff either. He got Seagram's extra dry gin. Man, gin. I mean, I guess if you're drinking liquor, I mean, I guess gin. I mean, what else? A vodka? I mean, if I'm going to leave you a bottle of hooch in a ditch somewhere, what kind of hooch do you want?
It ain't gin.
You're on a work crew. It's 96 degrees. You're picking up trash. I don't think it's gin. But he left the good stuff, Seagram's, extra dry. He left it in the path of a work crew of state prisoners from the Jefferson County Correctional Institution. Thompson police asked the GBI June 6 to investigate the allegations that he had provided the alcohol to inmates. Cranford was taken into custody at Thompson City Hall by GBI agents. They arrested him during a city council meeting. I mean, it could have waited, but they didn't. He was released on $5,000 bail. Cranford could be the subject of suspension from office until the charges are resolved, yada, yada, yada. The mayor took office earlier this year. He defeated incumbent Kenneth Usry. Kenneth Usry, he was always dirty, in an election last year. There are a lot of people that are suggesting that Cranford was set up somehow. I have no idea. Why would this is like Shawshank Redemption, right? It's like giving some suds to the work crew. You know, make a man feel like a man. He's out in the hot sun working all day. It's 32 after the hour on Super Talk.
Good afternoon. It is 1:32. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. Plenty of sun, 81 degrees. A full forecast in 2 minutes. Former President Obama and former First Lady Michelle Obama among those expected to take the stage tonight at the Democratic National Convention. Here's ABC's Jay O'Brien.
They've moved up the start time in order to have some of those speakers more in prime time. Obviously, the Obamas, highly anticipated, but also second gentleman Doug Emhoff, a sign that the festivities tonight have turned from last night being about Joe Biden to tonight being about Kamala Harris.
We now take you back to Tennessee, where the Department of Justice has announced a civil rights investigation into conditions at Trousdale Turner Correctional Center, which is run by Core Civic. It's the largest correctional facility in the state. The DOJ says their department has found significant justification to open the investigation, including state audits detailing understaffing and safety concerns that have allegedly taken place for years. Leaders say the investigation will dig deeper into whether Tennessee protects the inmates from harm, including violence and sexual abuse. That is the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy for Heartland Journal, formerly Mill Creek View, now Heartland Journal. It's Steve Abramowitz, and what he has created has been fascinating to watch. I love having Steve on the show. Love watching what he's doing over on his podcast side of things as well. Frequently, the number one show in politics on Podomatic. You can find them on Deezer, iTunes, iHeart, Spotify, all of your favorite podcast apps. You can also find them on Rumble Video, the alternative to YouTube. They don't have to worry about censorship on that platform. So here's the deal, folks. They have a great website available for you with a lot of different news and information about local politics, state politics, and other state happenings, and, of course, national and international stories of interest. But the biggest thing they got going is their podcast section. It's absolutely fabulous. Steve does a great job interviewing artists and authors, entertainment figures, sports figures, and, of course, political figures galore, including the occasional discussion with yours truly, Matt Murphy. So find them at heartlandjournal.com. That's heartlandjournal.com. Tell them I sent you to Heartland Journal.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com. Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Matt Murphy and you. Several of you are asking me for an Andy Ogles update. I'm going to give that to you coming up in just a couple of minutes on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. There's not a lot to update, but I'll give you what I can share with you. Secondarily, it appears that day number 2, so you got day number 2, and I understand that we're still dissecting day number 1, which was just chock full of lies. But apparently day number 2 of the DNC is off to a roaring start. They've just, they've opened up the doors to the convention floor, and I'm not making this up. Here we go. Says Free Palestine. A lot of Free Palestine. Stop killing women in Gaza. That's what that guy was yelling. So there you go. They're stop killing women in Gaza. So they're very upset, and none of the Democrats want you to see this. But let me tell you, if you want to talk about unity in a movement, you saw that at the RNC just a few short weeks ago. There's no unity within the Democrat Party. They can't decide who they are a fan of. Are they a fan of Israel, which was viciously attacked, brutally slaughtered at the hands of Hamas, or Hamas themselves? I don't know if you noticed this or not. You know how many mentions Joe Biden, the keynote speaker in last night's, the current president of the United States and keynote speaker in last night's DNC address, the convention. How many mentions of Israel last night, Bell? You want to guess? That would be a big, fat goose egg 0. He mentioned ceasefire a couple of times, never bothered to mention the nation of Israel, never bothered to mention the fact that they were brutally attacked and that some 1,400 of their citizens were slaughtered on October 7th, 2023, less than a year ago, never mentioning the fact, by the way, this ceasefire that the Harris-Biden team have been so desperate to broker, Israel has agreed to everything. Y'all know this, right? The country that was attacked, the country that still has almost 100 of its citizens being held hostage. And by the way, we still have 8. Should it not piss every single one of us off that we still have 8 hostages over there and our president and vice president, they don't even bother to mention it? They don't even bother to mention it? But that's Joe Biden, that's Kamala Harris, and that's your news cycle too, by the way. Just ignore it and hope it will go away. But it is a fact that the state of Israel, and I posted this on my social media a little earlier today, and you can find it at Matt Murphy Show. If you go visit me on Twitter, you can be my 15,000th follower. The 15,000th follower of Matt Murphy gets an ink pen and a bottle of water, both used by me. Congratulations. If you're number 15,000, just call up Bel K and let him know, and he'll get you the items.
It never really hit me until this point how gross a bottle of used water would be.
You've been offering it
for years now, and I just realized how nasty that is.
Ink pen and a bottle of water used by me. From the Matt Murphy Show to you. That's fresh out of the prize closet. I was stealing items out of the prize closet and giving those away as gifts, but they figured out how I was getting into the prize closet, and they shut all of that down. I'm telling you, new suit has this place locked up. Old suit, easy pickings. That would be Mandus. New suit, not so much.
He's not having it.
He's not having any of it. But so now we're back to a bottle of water and an ink pen used by me. So, no, it is. Israel has fully agreed to a ceasefire. On 3 separate occasions, they've agreed to this. Hamas wants blood, and the mainstream media won't report it. They don't want peace. They never wanted peace. That's why they ceased the peace when they attacked Israel on October 7th. Under heavy U.S. pressure, Israel accepted a final bridging proposal, which was supported by Egypt and Qatar. Hamas refused to show up for negotiations. And then on Sunday, it outright rejected this United States compromise. The only organization that is rejecting a ceasefire is Hamas, and the media won't report on it. There is no equitable approach to any of this. One side wants death, one side wants life. Which side are you choosing? Speaking of life and death, the issue of abortion has come up as we were discussing. It was a centerpiece of last night's DNC. They think this is a winning argument for themselves. Devin is in Franklin. He joins us next. Hello, Devin.
Yep. Hey, Mr. Murphy.
Hey, Devin.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I hear you. I hear you just fine. Yes, sir.
Perfect.
I mean, if I couldn't hear you, I couldn't answer that question. You know that, right?
Right. I mean, that kind of goes with the whole, intelligence thing.
I'm just messing with you, Devin. Go ahead, man. What's on your mind?
No, so I want to preface that I have an ex-wife. She got pregnant. She decided we moved to California. She decided on her own that she wanted to have an abortion. Fathers don't get any rights. If I luckily have a 3-year-old son with another lady, but at that point, you don't get the right to be a father, and it takes 2 to tango. But as far as the abortion topic, I've got some very liberal friends that I love discussing things with, and one of them I'd said to her, you can take a pregnancy test once a month. Even if the federal government just ships them out 12 to every lady, it seems cheaper than, these second or third trimester abortions, and you would know. everybody goes to the restroom a couple times a day, maybe less, maybe more. But it always seemed to me that you can just take a test once a month, throw it in the trash. If you're not pregnant, then it doesn't matter. If you are, then you're still in the first trimester. And while I'm not, for abortion, that's at least a way.
Well, I've said it for a long time. I've said it in a different way. And thank you for the call, Devin. Let me just reset this conversation. If we're going to talk about this, let me do it this way. There are many people, many of you that listen to this radio show that believe that life begins at the moment of conception, the moment that the egg and the sperm meet and the sperm penetrates the egg and it creates a new and wholly different life within the body of the mother. And I understand and respect fully that. There are others in this audience, believe it or not, there are some that would tell you that it is a woman's right to decide what to do with the baby or the fetus or however they want to describe it inside of her until the moment that the child is born and separates from the umbilical cord. Now, that's our field of discussion. On one side, you have people that believe that a separate and distinct life has been created at the moment of conception. The other believes that the woman has the ultimate authority to determine the future of whatever is growing, however you want to describe. I would call it a baby, but I'm trying to use their language, right? Whatever you would describe as growing inside of her until such time as she is separated from that child. And so you're weighing the rights of the woman early on in the pregnancy to determine her fate and the fate of the, let's say, fetus versus the rights of the baby, the rights of the separate life. And here's where I've always been on it. Okay? I'm not saying that this is what I would create from a legal standpoint, but here's what I would suggest to you. If you can't agree with me that a woman has had multiple opportunities to make certain decisions within her life to determine that she does not want to have a child, from abstaining from sex to protecting herself from the possibility of pregnancy to morning after pill to even, and I know that this is entering an arena where many of us disagree with it, but just walk with me here for a moment. Even through the first trimester, if you've gone through all of those opportunities to do what you claim to want to do, and that is to prevent pregnancy, and then you have other opportunities even suggesting that you carry the baby to term, whether it's adoption of the child or whatever, at some point, taking the life of the baby should no longer be an option. Right? So we all decide that after birth, it's no longer an option. I don't know of many people that would argue that a week-old baby could be killed by the mother. Well, what about a baby that is a week before birth, or 2 weeks before birth, or a month before birth? At some point, you've had so many opportunities to make decisions along the way, and you've chosen not to take those opportunities. We're going to take that option off the table for you. I do not believe that it is asking too much to take that option off the table after 20 weeks of pregnancy universally. Then we can have a reasonable discussion about where we set that dynamic up at. But anyone telling me that you're in, I don't have an ability to talk to you if you believe in third trimester abortion on demand. And I understand that you might want to argue that the mother herself has some sort of rights. And I would suggest that by not making a decision up until that point, we're going to take away that decision-making opportunity at that stage of the process in deference to the life inside of her. How many damn choices do you get? You made the choice to have sexual relations. You made the choice, perhaps, not to use protection. For whatever reason, you became pregnant. You made the choice not to have a morning after pill or to engage in morning after prevention. You made the choice not to, let's say in this world, first trimester. You've made all of these choices. At some point, that particular choice, you don't get to make that anymore. As a society, we've decided, universally, why is it such an irrational argument on the part of pro-choice Americans, what I'm saying? Why are you so fearful of what I'm saying? Universally, we've decided that once the baby's born, that choice is gone, right? What I'm suggesting is it should be set a little bit sooner, perhaps when the baby is viable outside of the womb. Universally, we should be able to agree on that. Yet, I can't have that discussion because of these crazy people at the DNC suggesting that abortion until birth or even at the point of birth is acceptable. And I would suggest that's demonic. Anyone thinking that abortion at the moment of birth is acceptable, I can't have a rational conversation with you. I can't have a moral conversation with you. 51 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hello, friends. Matt Murphy for Efficient Heating and Cooling. It can be hard to find someone that you can trust to work on your AC unit or your heating unit for that matter. But I found that person, and I love talking about him. His name is Jeff Eddy, and it is Efficient Heating and Cooling. Results time and time again. Jeff Eddy gets the results that others cannot. If you've been told you need a new unit, don't believe it. You call Jeff Eddy. Allow him to get out there and see if he can help that AC survive another season or another couple of seasons. Jeff Eddy's been doing this for years, folks. They're efficient heating and cooling tune-ups are things of legend, right? They never, ever charge you over $125, no matter what. No matter how many units you have at your residence, they're not charging you additional money. Efficient also offers you financing if you need, and if it's time, they're an Elite Pro partner with Ream. In other words, they understand that there's a life to your unit, and when it's time, when Jeff Eddy tells you, you know he's telling you the truth. Now, I know that it's August. At some point in September, I'm going to say, I told you guys I would start talking about tune-ups for your heater. Well, I told you guys I was going to start talking about tune-ups for your heater, and at some point we need to be thinking about that because it's important that you get this maintenance done. That helps allow the unit to survive even longer and helps prevent money coming out of your pocket. Efficient Heating and Cooling, 615-784-4424, 784-4424, or efficienthvac.net.
Good afternoon. It is 2 p.m. and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We're looking at all kinds of sunshine. We're at 82 degrees. Your weather forecast coming up in just a couple of moments. Donald Trump's running mate, J.D. Vance, today. He's in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and taking questions after he made his remarks after a rally. Here's Vance when asked about Vice President Harris's scheduled rally in Milwaukee tonight at the same time as the Democratic National Convention in Chicago.
Kamala Harris is going to run the campaign that she runs. I would say that I wish that she would do what I'm doing right now, which is talk to the media and actually answer some tough questions.
An independent commission releasing its final report surrounding the deadliest mass shooting in Maine's history. ABC's Brian Clark has details.
The commission found shortcomings from the Army Reserve in failing to provide Robert Card care before last October's rampage, but also flagged local law enforcement, which Chair Dan Wathen said knew about Card's threatening and aggressive behavior and had probable cause to take him into protective custody under Maine's yellow flag law.
And to initiate a petition to confiscate any firearms he possessed or over which he had control.
The commission said Card is solely responsible for the rampage that left 18 dead.
The country's birth rate jumping during and just after the pandemic, but now that's slowing down a bit. Here's ABC's Sherry Preston.
The CDC says there were just under 3.6 million babies born last year compared to just over 3.6 million in both 2021 and 22. It's a 2% drop, but researchers don't know exactly why. They speculate it could be more people going back to work after being at home during the pandemic. According to the Pew Charitable Trust, birth rates have been on a steady decline since the recession of 2007 and 8.
That is the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
All right, here we are. Here we go. We're going to turn away from the DNC, and I think not a moment too soon. We've spoken too much about it already. There's the cough of Victoria Jackson. More on her in just a moment as we crank up hour number 3 of the Matt Murphy Radio Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right, we'll set aside. And if those of you holding that want to talk about the issue at hand, and I know that we had crossed over because the Democrats have made abortion such an issue in their political campaign, and it's a very frustrating one, but just hang in there. And Bell will do his work and pick up on you because we're going to shift gears and shift conversation. One of my favorite memories of coming to Nashville was learning that we had an incredible celebrity that I grew up watching on television that actually listened to Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And upon hearing this, I begged of Victoria Jackson to call into the show, which she did. I then subsequently begged her to come on and be with us on the show. And for those of you that have listened from the beginning, you're such a box of frogs. You know that? Do you know what I mean when I say that? Yeah, she's not even listening. She's not even listening to me.
Can you see us, Paul? Let's talk about me. Let's talk about me. Let's talk about me, myself, I.
Hey, Victoria.
Sorry.
Hey, I was in the middle of the.
That wasn't me.
That was you.
That was Belle.
that wasn't
your
you.
voice.
That wasn't you now. That was you then.
That was taken out of context.
So we spent 2 hours together that day. The first day that you came on, I got in trouble because I kept you on for an extra hour. My boss was like, "What are you doing? You can't do that for 2. You can't do a 2-hour interview." I was like, "I was having a good time. I was having a good time."
I'm glad you didn't get fired.
No, I am too. And now you're back, and I'm so happy to have you back.
Let's talk about me. Let's talk about me. Let's talk about me. That's a great song.
Don't you love talking about you?
Yeah.
Do you?
I'm getting kind of tired of it, actually. Yeah. When I go on YouTube, I don't talk about me or look at me. I look at Paris videos, and I look at
Wait, Paris, France, or Paris, Tennessee?
Paris, France.
Paris, Tennessee is pretty good too.
I look at archaeology in the Middle East, and I look at soft white underbelly.
I love soft white underbelly. Are you a fan of soft white underbelly?
Oh my goodness!
I love soft white underbelly.
Rebecca.
I'm trying to get the guy. Have you the warden at Brushy Mountain State Prison? Have you seen that one?
No.
You need to watch that one. So that's Mike. Is it Michael Lada? Whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, who does it?
Yeah, the guy who does it in the tight white T-shirts and his tan. But what about Rebecca, the star?
I've not seen Rebecca.
It's a man who thinks he's a woman, and he's so precious, and everyone's in love with him, And he's addicted to meth or something, and he lives on the street, and he's fascinating.
The entire, for those who don't know, we're talking YouTube now.
I'm just saying I don't always think about and talk about myself. I was just trying to be funny.
I like soft white underbelly, though. It's good.
Me too.
We'll talk about that
But
later.
since I am dying, everyone seems to want to talk to me, and I'm going to enjoy this newfound fame, this fleeting fame.
All right. So let's talk about this.
Here's my pill. No, you start the conversation. I'll quit interrupting.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I remember this is the way that I love talking to you because this is the way that it is when we talk. Talking to Victoria Jackson is like holding a box of frogs.
I interrupt a lot.
Did you? No. You're just bouncing around all over the place. Did you just take your pill?
I did, and it's called Palbociclib.
That's your magic pill?
My magic pill, Palbociclib. And it's supposed to shrink tumors.
Since you were on last, we have now moved over to YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch on the television side of things. That's your camera. It's right there. Here, look at my finger. It's right there.
Oh.
So say hey to everybody.
That's my good angle.
Yeah, it's a good side of you.
A little high,
I like it. Yeah, no, it minimizes whatever is going on.
Oh, you can turn it off and then turn it back on in 1 minute chunks if you don't mind.
Paul's here with you.
I brought my husband.
He's a dreamboat.
Look at his body.
I'm looking.
I know. We have a lot of. We've had a very challenging marriage. But it's been 33 years.
33 years.
And he's being 32 years, and he's been super nice to me since I started dying. But I can't help but think it's because he's happy about it. He is. You hear my wheeze?
You're so mean. When are you doing that?
No, I'm not mean. 2 months ago, he texted me that he was filing for divorce.
What?
I have the text.
Oh, no.
But now he's being nice, and I'm going to enjoy it. I live in the moment.
I don't know if you're kidding or not.
No, I'm not kidding.
Well, I mean, but life has a way of clarifying what are the big things and what are the little things, right?
I think he wants all of the single girls in Nashville to know that he was a long-suffering, wonderful husband, and when he's free, that he has that hot bod to offer them. But let's talk about me.
Let's talk about you.
I've enjoyed that hot bod for 32 years, so.
Mm-hmm. He said that you guys met when you were. He said you guys met when you were in school.
7th grade.
Yeah.
It was so romantic. It was Bible class, Christian school. I was passing out papers, and he had a briefcase and glasses, and he never smiled. And I never stopped smiling. Can't help it. It's my default face. And I gave him the paper, and I said, "Your dad's a doctor." And he said, "Your mom's a nurse." That was it.
That was it?
That was our flirting.
I wish I could say it was love at first glance, but you guys went your separate ways for a number of years before you came back together, right?
He followed me to Furman. Then I went to Auburn, Alabama, to be a theater major, and then we went separate ways. We were engaged, and then he married someone else, so I married someone. Anyway, let's talk about cancer, because our romance is, everyone knows that, it's old news.
It's very intriguing to me, so talk to me.
By the way, you look like Elvis.
Thank you. I think, like Elvis now? Or
Elvis when he was skinny.
Oh, no, that's not true, but thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you look great.
You're very sweet.
And your wife.
And she made you a cake.
That's so sweet.
How about that?
Look at this
And she
card.
wrote you a card. I don't know what was inside of the card.
I'll tell you.
Stop with
that
that.
is out of context.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Belle.
Belle, you're going to get in trouble if you don't stop with that.
Matt's wife, Erica, wrote me the sweetest card. And she made me a cake, and she said, "That's what people in Alabama do.
That's
whether
true.
something good or bad happens."
Yep.
She said, "Thank you for all the laughter you've given me over the years. You truly have a gift. I'm very glad you shared it with the world. I was saddened to hear about your health news, but I love your attitude. God works miracles for his children every day. Let me know if I can help." And she said, 2 Corinthians 12:9, "My grace is all you need, for my power is the greatest when you are weak." And in the King James, it's, "My grace is sufficient for thee, for when I am weak, then I am strong." And God's word is totally helped me through cancer 9 years ago, and it helps me now. I mean, set your affection on things above, not on things on the earth, Colossians 3:2. I mean, if that's the way you look at things, then all this earthly stuff doesn't have any power.
Mm-hmm.
Paul, you can turn it off now. Thank you.
We can, I'm trying to catch everybody up that perhaps is hearing some of this for the first time. Our guest is Victoria Jackson. You know Victoria. And she's, she's an absolute international and national treasure, and she's a treasure of the state of Tennessee. How long have you been in Thompson Station? You've been here for a while now.
12 years.
Yeah.
I've been here a little longer than him, 12 years.
So, and you recently announced, and it's made international news. I mean, international news is crazy, that you had, was it breast cancer that you had 9 years ago?
Yes.
And the cancer has come back.
Yes, it came back. The first time I knew it was there was because I was coughing.
Mm-hmm.
I was at Zany's. Brian Dorfman is awesome. He owns the Zany's here in Nashville. And I was going to do my act, and I couldn't stop coughing. I'm like, can't do stand-up if you're coughing. So I finally went to the urgent care. Hear that wheeze? And this sweet nurse named, his name's Gordon. Sweet Gordon. I said, there's a numb spot right here. And he goes, you're going to the Vanderbilt Breast Clinic. And I'm like, I just have a cough. So he sent me there, and the Vanderbilt Breast Clinic is awesome. There's the people who take care of people who are sick. I'm so in awe of them. They're so kind and professional. And so they said, yeah, it's breast cancer. Psalm 43:5 got me through that year of treatment. Double mastectomy, chemo, radiation. I wrote a book about it called Lavender Hair. Wrote my 2 best ukulele songs that year, Lavender Hair and It's a Broken World, Baby. I think I sang them last time.
You did.
And then 9 years, I just forgot about cancer and was healthy. And then the cough, this cough has been a year since I had COVID last summer. So did he. His cough went away. Mine kept going. So then I got it checked out. There's breast cancer cells in my lymph node laying on my windpipe and restricting me from like exhaling. So it's inoperable. I'm not sure why. And this pill shrinks them. And I Googled it, and it's like 3 years to live. And my daughters are like, are you sad? Are you scared? And those are the best questions. And I'm like, well, I mean, I'm not scared because they have great drugs. And like, if it did keep growing and I was suffocating, I watched my mom die of COVID pneumonia. They had her on morphine in the hospital, and they kind of slowly turned off her oxygen and turned up the morphine. So she didn't know she was suffocating to death. And so I think drugs are very good in that situation because, it's not suffering. I mean, if I'm watching YouTube of the streets of Paris or soft white underbelly or something, and they turn up the morphine, that's not painful.
So it doesn't sound like, you have a fear of after death.
Oh, no. I'm excited. I can't wait to meet Jesus face to face. Since I was 6 years old and I asked him into my heart to be my savior, I totally understood the gospel. I totally understood he died for our sins. He rose from the grave. We can have eternal life with him. I went to Bible college. I've tried to put Jesus into everything I do, like Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. So I thought, what does that mean? In all your ways acknowledge him. I thought, well, so when I was on SNL and I was doing a handstand with a Christmas tree on me, upside down, I said, and this is when we celebrate that Jesus was born. I mean, I put Jesus into everything.
Right.
I put him into all my songs. I slipped him into my stand-up act, whether people liked it or not. And the other thing my kids said was, "Are you sad?" And I thought about that a lot because I hate to be sad. And so
I don't think it's in your nature to be sad, is it?
My mom was never sad. My mom trusted God. She was always happy. And the Bible says, rejoice in all things. And she kind of lived that for me. And so did my dad. He was always happy. He was a gymnastics coach. It was like a little girl would go, Jim, I learned to back handspring. He's like, that's awesome. What's your name again? Dimples. Hey, Dimples, that's awesome. He would call them, he couldn't remember their names. But like, but it's not in my nature. But if I do get, I said to my daughter, if I did let myself get sad, I would be so sad I would die. Like, I don't like sad. I just am, some people like being sad. Like my husband, look at his face. That's his default face. He enjoys being sad and worried. He's the funniest one in the family. But he likes being sad.
Now I know why I didn't want to come in here. Because you're giving him the business. You're giving him the business.
You could turn on his mic and he can fight back.
No. He says no. No means no in the studio, Victoria.
We have good chemistry, but despite it all, but
you like I can tell him you're giving him the business. Do you like giving him the business?
Well,
is that a part of your relationship?
Look at our Christmas cards. Everyone's smiling and he's like this, but he was on the SWAT team.
Well, yeah,
he has the perfect personality for police SWAT team.
I don't think you're going to out happy. I don't mean to presume to understand your and Paul's relationship, but I don't think anybody's going to out happy just in normal circumstances. You, nobody's going to out happy you.
I know it's kind of a flaw, but anyway,
no, it's a wonderful thing.
I'm not sad because here's my attitude. Sorry. Where's the cough button? We're gonna have to.
No, you got it. You're okay. We'll edit this in post.
Okay, so that we're live, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's the sad thing.
So there's really no edit. You got it. Yeah.
I'm not sad, and like my granddaughter called me the other day. She's 13. Her name's Ever, and she said, "Bam, bam, I'm sad." And I was like, "Well, I'm sad too." But here's the thing: if I live to 80, I'd still want to live longer to see your next adventure. I mean, whatever age we live to, it's gone in a blink.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 60, 50, it goes in a blink of an eye.
Does it change? I mean, you mentioned your daughter. You have two, right?
I have two wonderful daughters who love Jesus.
How many grandkids?
4. One's going to be born in October.
And you'll see her born.
Him. Our first boy.
Him. Oh, the first boy. Oh boy! Congratulations, Paul. Finally got another boy in the house. It's a big one.
I'm happy because I'm going to have eternal life. My whole family's going to be there. There's no pain or suffering in heaven. It sounds like a fairy tale, but it's true.
But I mean, and you've written a song, and we'll throw it out there a little bit later on. Expiration date. I'd love to hear you do it if you're willing. But I mean, you're not going tomorrow. I mean, you've got plenty of time left to enjoy family, enjoy friends, enjoy this mortal coil.
Matt, I've done everything I wanted to do. It's like when I thought I heard God talking to me the other night, and He said, "You ready to go home?" I was like, "Yeah." I mean, my goal in life was to get on TV. Check. Mm-hmm. My goal in life was to marry my high school sweetheart. Check. My goal in life was to have a baby. Check. My goal in life was to be a songwriter. Check. Oh, I have one goal left. I haven't got to sing at the Grand Ole Opry yet.
I think you can make that happen.
I can play the death card. The death card. You have to let her sing. She's dying. If they don't let me sing because I'm dying, they're not going to let it.
I think that's what you're doing right now. You're playing the death card on the Matt Murphy Show at Super Talk for the Grand Ole Opry. If they're listening.
That's why I'm here.
If you're listening, Victoria just played the death card.
Okay, my other goal was to get to go to Paris, and I did.
You did that?
I did, and I did a handstand in front of the Eiffel Tower.
You can't double play the death card. You just did it for the Grand Ole Opry, so you can't do it for
I already did everything I've ever wanted except sing at the Opry.
Well, there you go. We're going to make that happen. All right, hold on. Stand by. I've got to do this. It's 24 after the hour. Victoria Jackson is with us talking about her recent diagnosis, and we're going to play a song from her a little bit later on. She's got a milkshake, or coffee, or iced coffee. What are we doing over there?
It's a frappuccino.
Oh, he turned you off. It's a frappuccino?
It's not a milkshake. It's a healthy coconut milk with ice thing.
You know what it looks like?
It's not a milkshake.
It looks like a milkshake. We'll be back. Hey guys, we were just talking a moment ago about health, and obviously health is incredibly important. You want to make sure that you are on this earth for as long as possible. Well, let me tell you about the CT scans offered by Craft Body Scan. I've been telling you about these. I did this about a year ago or so. It's incredible. It's a CT scan. I did the full body scan, by the way. But for a heart and lung scan for you and a loved one, $149. What a value. Now, these CT scans, since they started in 2017, have advanced in technology to the point that they can check under the hood, and long before you feel anything, they will be able to diagnose it. And that's so important because time is of the essence when it comes to these things. We've heard stories about lives saved by these scans where major medical issues were discovered even with no symptoms. Take that proactive step toward better health. Book a scan today. Book your couple's heart and lung scan by going to togetherwescan.com. That's togetherwescan.com for Craft Body Scan, or call 615-436-1000. Tell them I sent you. 615-436-1000 for Craft Body Scan.
J.D. Vance on the campaign trail in a swing state today. And a new DHS report reveals the whereabouts of thousands of migrant children are a mystery. We'll have those stories and more at 2:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Jay Harper, Matt Murphy, and you until 3 o'clock. Brian Wilson and The Drive at 3 o'clock today until 7. Mark Levin happens. Then it's live and local until 7 o'clock tonight on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We are blessed to be joined by Victoria Jackson in studio. We haven't had Victoria in some time. We've had her in from time to time over the 3 years that I've been here. And her recent diagnosis, or the announcement that her cancer has returned. That's the way to say it, right? That's right. Your cancer's come back.
Well, my friend said, don't call it her cancer, call it the cancer. Don't call it my cancer.
It's the cancer.
It's the tongue, the power of the tongue.
Right. So they told you, do you feel like you've gotten the best advice? I mean, a lot of people on our super text line, we've got the super text line since you were in here last, are saying, you need to tell her to go here, tell her to go there, tell her to go. I mean, I'm certain that you have the best doctors and you have the best people advising you on all of this.
Okay, so millions of people are telling me secrets to healing.
Right. Ivermectin. That's a bunch of people are telling me
baking
ivermectin.
Soda.
Yeah.
Ivermectin.
Yeah.
have ivermectin. I've taken it. I take it sometimes. I thought it cured my COVID. I'm overwhelmed. Like, I can't take all the information. I just want to scream, like, stop.
Right,
and also, I can't take all the texts and calls and love. I can't.
Is it too much?
It's too much. It is too much.
But do you understand where it's coming from?
I feel so loved. I feel overwhelmed with love and prayers. It feels great.
Good.
And I know they're sincere. And I feel back to them. My prayer group, my Bible group prayed for me yesterday, and we were all crying. And I mean, there's something beautiful about sincere love. Like Saturday Night Live is all about cynicism and, making fun of people and being quick with the one-liners. There's a lot of criticizing. Like, I had to be Sally Struthers in a fat suit and make fun of her asking for money for the starving children. And when I was doing it on SNL, I was like, this is mean.
SNL was too mean for you.
It was.
Do you agree?
Yeah.
I mean, you made it work.
Yes and no. I mean, some of it is like comedy is kind of exaggerates, and comedy's kind of harsh sometimes. And comedy's kind of like based on truth that we can't really handle or say out loud. I mean, there is something to the fact of asking for money for starving children when we have too much. I mean, that's a human flaw we in America have. We have so much, and I mean, so I guess
it would, and I remember the bit you're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, because I watched. I almost said religiously. That's true. I'm every week, but yeah. I mean, the irony is that Sally Struthers was overweight and she was asking for money for starving children.
Yeah, and we weren't making fun of her so much as the premise. And when I met her in person, I felt terrible.
You met her?
Years later, I met her in person, and she looked hurt when she looked at me. And then at Roseanne, I had to wear a fat suit to make fun of Roseanne, and then, of course, I don't have to anymore.
She lost weight.
Yeah, and I gained weight, so
Wow.
I don't know if she has to wear a fat suit to be me now.
Hold on. They're telling me I have to tell you to hold on for just a second, because Mean Bell, see Mean Bell back there?
Yeah.
Mean Bell makes us do this. And see behind Mean Bell, Mean Jay Harper, you see him in the background there? He's got to deliver headlines for just a second. So we're going to take a time out.
Let's talk about me. Let's talk about me. Let's talk about me.
And then maybe we can get to expiration date in the next segment. It's 32 after the hour on Super Talk.
Good afternoon. It's 2:32. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. Plenty of sunshine, 83 degrees. The full forecast is coming up. Donald Trump's running mate, J.D. Vance, today. He's in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and he, like some others in the political arena, takes questions. After making some remarks, here is Vance when asked about union voters.
If we don't tell people what to do, they're going to be able to buy cars that are made in America with American workers doing the jobs. And that is why I think we're going to win the majority of union and non-union workers in this country.
ABC News has learned the Department of Homeland Security's internal watchdog says the U.S. government has lost track of thousands of unaccompanied migrant children that were released from custody. A new report says in the past 5 years, more than 32,000 unaccompanied migrant children failed to appear for their immigration court hearings, and that Immigration and Customs Enforcement was not able to account for their locations. Here's ABC's Maria Villarreal. She's explaining the issue.
When someone doesn't show up for a court case, I should be able to try and track down who the sponsor was of this particular minor. And in this case, they're not doing that. They weren't notifying the other federal agencies that may be involved in keeping track of this unaccompanied minor.
That is the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy for Tennessee Men's Clinic. Tennessee Men's Clinic wants you to stop by. And, gentlemen, I'm telling you, it's very important in terms of your health to do this. If you're feeling sluggish, run down, low energy. Look, I'm not here to get into your business. I'm not here to get into your bedroom. But half the men listening to me right now will experience some sort of issue, and that can create a strain on your relationship. If that's the case, the guys at Tennessee Men's Clinic have been doing this since 2014. They can talk to you about this. And most guys, you whistle past the graveyard or you pretend none of this is happening until such time as it has caused a strain in that relationship. If that's the case, gentlemen, all I'm telling you is a visit, and you sit down with the urologist. They'll put you through your paces. They'll check things like your T levels. These are important items to know about. I mean, we don't check our numbers, man. We need to do this. Go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com or make the call at 615-208-9090. 615-208-9090 for our friends at Tennessee Men's Clinic. They're stealing her pins and stealing her creamers. Oh. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is 2:40. Just a wonderful conversation thus far with Victoria Jackson, both on and off the air. It's so wonderful to be able to meet your husband as well. I know he doesn't want to go on the radio with us, and that's all well and good, but it's good to get an opportunity to meet him and spend some time with him.
He said he's not sad, he's serious.
That's exactly right. That's what and I can identify with that remark. There's a difference there. You are always joyful and joyous, even in the face of in the face of death.
Yeah.
Hey, Victoria, I found one that's probably a little more appropriate.
Oh, thank you. Bill, that's the one. I like that one. See, he found the golden one.
You see what I'm battling here, Paul? As soon as I get Victoria a little bit focused, then there's Belle that comes in and throws us off.
Ding, ding, ding.
There we go. And there we all back around. So we've all got it coming.
Belle. That's good.
We've all got it coming.
We all got death coming unless Jesus comes back and we meet him in the air. Which could happen.
You have faced this in a way where you recognize that they're not going to operate to try to get the cancer, but they're going to try to shrink the cancer. You call it a magic pill.
And I call it a marble, not a tumor.
It's not a tumor, it's a marble. You don't want to give it the gravitas.
It's such an ugly word. My friend just prayed today. Shirley prayed that the marble would come shooting out of my mouth.
Well, I pray for that
when
too.
When I cough.
But you, in your typical fashion, have penned a song as a result of what has been going on in your life over the last several months.
That's how I get out my pain.
Do you want to sing it?
Yes.
Okay. Well, what's the name of the song?
Maybe the Grand Ole Opry will like it.
Okay. Well, Grand Ole Opry, I hope you're listening. It's the one thing that she hasn't checked off the bucket list, and we need to make that happen. Okay.
Expiration date.
Okay.
I just wrote it like 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
People can follow my cancer journey on my Instagram.
All right. What's your Instagram? Do you remember?
I think it's called Victoria Jackson Official.
Okay. I'll look it up while you sing.
Okay.
Okay.
If I knew I had an expiration date, how would I live differently? Would I be kinder to my fellow man? Would I be kinder to me? Would I read the Bible every day? Would I smoke more cigarettes? Oh no! Would I drown myself in Chardonnay? Like Edith Piaf, would I have no regrets? No more regrets. Do you know Edith Piaf? Google her. No more regrets.
We got it.
Would I get on my knees more often? Would I listen more instead of talk? Would I put down my YouTube and my cell phone and grab a friend and go for a walk? Hallelujah, I'm almost home. Hallelujah, I'm almost there. Whether I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, or he comes back and I meet him in the air. Actually, I know I have an expiration date, and I've done all of the above. Oh yeah, that's why the gospel good news is so great. My sins are covered by God's love. Yes, I have an expiration date, although I don't know the day or hour. So I am walking close to Jesus Christ. Christ means Messiah for the Jewish people out there. He gives me his Holy Spirit power. Hallelujah, I'm almost home. Everybody, hallelujah, I'm almost there. Whether I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, or he comes back and I meet him in the air. Yay, Jesus!
That's awesome. I did what you told me to do.
What?
I followed you on Instagram. You are Victoria Jackson Official.
Okay.
On Instagram. People are begging you to be on other social media. And I looked up Edith Piaf.
Yeah.
And she had a song called
No More Regrets.
Non,
No.
Je ne regrette rien.
How do you know?
Non, je ne regrette rien. Non, je ne regrette rien. I know the song.
How do you know how to say the R's?
I took French 1 and French 2 in high school. And Ms. Whaley is the only reason that I'm sitting here today because she graduated me out of French 2, and I could. That's about it. I know how to say je joue au tennis. Est-ce que tu es tennis?
Okay.
You know what that means?
No.
That means I play tennis. Do you play tennis?
Oh, that's good to know. Okay, so Matt Murphy.
I don't really play tennis, by the way.
Told me this beautiful story about his mother dying of cancer. And he said when she was in the hospital, it was brain cancer, and fell on the floor out of her bed, she prayed and said, God, if you just let me live to raise my kids, I'll take them to church. And he answered her prayer.
He did.
And I love that story.
He said, the book will see you through.
And then he said that.
That's what she said that she heard.
And it's true.
And it is true. And it was the most selfless of prayers that you could ask for. She didn't ask for anything other than to allow her children to be raised in a godly way.
That's all they need is God's word. They need Jesus, and then everything else is easy.
What about you?
What about me?
What do you want to, besides the Opry?
I have everything I've ever wanted. I don't need, I just want to spread the gospel. If the spotlight's on me, then I have a chance to spread the gospel, and that's what people need in this world.
I imagine that people are coming out of the woodwork. I mean, you and I had talked in a little bit, and I found out about it, and I came out of the woodwork to a certain degree, but I imagine there are other people that are wanting to sit down with you, that are wanting to talk with you.
People Magazine tomorrow.
Yeah?
You were very kind a couple months ago, and you let me plug my stand-up show.
Of course.
That was really kind of you.
Well, I'll do anything for you. I'll do it. When did you find out?
About
this
marble?
Yeah.
I don't know, Paul. When did we find out? Like a month ago?
Okay.
Yeah, we were still processing it, and people were going, what's happening? What do you think? What do you think? We're like, what? We were like, what?
You, did you ever know Norm Macdonald?
Yes.
Norm is my favorite comedian ever. He's an incredible.
I know.
And I wish that we still had him on this earth. That's a very selfish wish, but he's gone from us now. But he was incredibly private about his issues.
Yes,
right?
he was.
And wouldn't tell anybody.
And I'm the opposite.
And that's the reason I brought him up is that you are quite the opposite. Does it occur to you?
To be quiet and
no, that's not the way I'm saying it.
It never entered my mind. I didn't know I could be.
But you know what being an open book brings with it.
I just feel like when people are quiet, people can make up weird stuff. If you're mysterious, it's like the truth is so much.
But what's wonderful is that because you're not quiet, and you do get an opportunity to spread
the gospel.
The gospel.
Norm started to come to Jesus near the end of his life.
I hope so.
One time I was doing stand-up opening for him, and I just lost weight at the Celebrity Fit Club, which was stupid, but I did it for $50,000. And I did lose like 40 pounds or something. It was awesome because of the pressure of being on TV getting weighed. And so anyway, I was opening for him, and I was taking a picture with him for my professor, Dr. Athey, who liked him. And Norm goes, how come we never dated? And I, out of the blue, number one, because you never asked me. Number two, because I've always been married.
Mm-hmm. But
out of the blue, he said that. He goes, how come we never dated? And I said, you don't go to church. I'm only interested in a believer.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I like to think that maybe that was a seed, because as the years went by, it seems like he started thinking about Jesus.
Besides, we only have a minute left.
Yeah.
Besides the Grand Ole Opry, which is going to happen.
Yeah.
What can we do for you?
Oh.
Because I feel like you've done a lot for us. And by us, I mean all of us. What can we do for you?
What a tough question. Have me back on in a year.
Okay.
And see if I'm still happy.
Okay.
Because you know what?
Do I have to wait a year?
No, but
Maybe
I mean,
6 months.
See if
I don't know that I can wait a year.
See if my hair falls out and right now my boobs are off. My whole body's falling apart. See if I'm still smiling when I'm really have one foot in the grave.
I feel like you will be.
I think I will be.
I think you'll be all right.
Mm-hmm.
You got it going on.
I think Jesus is coming back and I won't have to die because look at the world right now.
Well, I tell you what, we'll talk a little more politics next time you're on, okay?
Okay.
All right. Maybe some of this will be resolved by November. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for singing us your song.
Yay, Trump!
God bless you.
Trump won! Trump won.
I know we did. Thank you, Victoria. Say goodbye to everybody. And tell the Grand Ole Opry to call you.
You tell them.
Grand Ole Opry. Call Victoria Jackson. Have her on the Grand Ole Opry. You'll be happy you did. And you can sing Expiration Date and tell your story.
And it's a broken world, baby.
Victoria Jackson, everybody. Back in a minute. Super Talk 99.7 WTN, a little bit of a different last hour on the Murphy Show, but here's something that is familiar to you, the voice of Brian Wilson previewing what is going on the drive. Hello, Mr. Wilson. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you on this Tuesday?
Wonderful. I hope that you enjoyed, as I did, the rambunctious nature of the DNC last. I couldn't even get it out without laughing. My goodness.
I'm telling you, if you can't run a convention on time, how in the world are you expected to run a government?
Well, that's the big question, Brian. Did they run on time?
No, I think they went way, way, way late. They pushed to Biden, way past prime time, and I don't think that was by design. I think they just, honestly, I've been to these Democrat conventions, and they're just a train wreck. Nobody is disciplined about sticking to the time. They can't run the thing. I mean, if it's like, all you got to do is, tell people you got exactly 5 minutes, and you can't go a minute longer, and they get the message. But they get a little rambunctious. The next thing they're 40 minutes behind, and they have to tell James Taylor, "I'm sorry, you can't go on." So,
did they bump Taylor last time?
They bumped Sweet Baby James, which was the only thing I was sort of hanging around to listen to. But no, I'm serious. They bumped him, and he was supposed to go just before Biden. And they simply had to tell him, "I'm sorry, we're so far behind schedule that we just don't have time for you."
Well, I'm sure tonight will be more of a train wreck, more of the same. What's coming up on the drive this afternoon?
Well, we're going to start out by talking about what Donald Trump and J.D. Vance are doing today, because they're out on the campaign trail. We will talk about Biden's swan song, or his angry duck song, because he was an angry duck last night. It was the Joe Biden from the State of the Union address, and we'll talk about all that and a lot of 2024 news, a lot of stuff to absorb. It's all coming up right after the news at 3:00.
There's Brian Wilson, and the drive is on the way next, right after Jay Harper's newscast, which is coming up now on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I've enjoyed it. I hope you have as well. Midweek edition coming up tomorrow, starting at high noon. Until then, enjoy the drive. Hug your loved ones. So long, everybody.